Hello, friends, and welcome to your Daily Detroit. I'm Jer Stays. It is Wednesday, November 30th, 2022, sharing what to know and where to go around Metro Detroit. Today, we're getting out of the studio and heading to Detroit's Capitol Park. We're visiting the newly opened Throwbacks Home, a showroom and retail space in the old lovers-only burger spot. But instead of double patties with cheese, it's a double helping of design. If you're not familiar, Throwbacks Home is a new venture of Woodward Throwbacks, powered by a couple of the most interesting entrepreneurs in Detroit, in my opinion, Shepherd and Kyle Dubay. You might be one of their nearly 70,000 followers on Instagram, or have visited their workshop space in Hamtramck, where they converted an old car dealership into a production headquarters and warehouse. Or maybe you followed along for the rebuild of a house in the North End neighborhood of Detroit that's been recently completed. Or, like me, you've been following them since they've had a workshop in Corktown back in 2016. Patience tastes bitter, but the fruit is sweet, and over time, they've built a thing to last. They put their shoulder to the wheel with projects, so I caught up with Kyle Dubay at the soft opening of Throwbacks Home. So we are in the new Throwbacks Home here right at Capitol Park. I mean, this is Capitol Park, really. What's the inspiration behind doing this as opposed to what you were doing in Hamtramck?
So the idea of doing this, like Bo and I, or my partner, like we have the warehouse in Hamtramck, but we really wanted to kind of like show people the elevated style of what we've been doing for the last few years. It kind of culminated over a dinner party where we were some friends who knew us pretty well and getting introduced to other friends. And they're like, oh yeah, Bo and Kyle from Woodward Throwbacks, you know, they like refinish furniture. And we're like, what? Like, yeah, we do, but like that's not what we really do. Like, you know, we see ourselves more as designers and artists, and we build furniture from scratch out of reclaimed materials. And we wanted to have like a brand new space down here that was a lot more elevated from the warehouse space in Hamtramck to kind of show people like what we've been up to and what we're trying to do going forward.
So let's talk about it, because there is a blend of things here. Like right behind me is this great, I'd call it like a drinking cabinet or something you'd keep your bottles in. And it's been refinished with this super cool former liquor store sign. And it's just so tasteful. And then right next to it, you've got a newer piece from one of the brands you're working with. So what's kind of your vision with that?
I think the vision is just kind of showing people like how you can use like salvage materials in your own home. For Bo and I's house, like it's a little bit more eclectic. We have a lot of antiques, we have a lot of older materials, but you can also have like antiques and reclaimed furniture and like have a modern style. And that's what a lot of our clients have. So we kind of want to be like, hey, you can put this awesome, this is called the party store cabinet, in your modern home with your mid-century modern couch. So that's kind of the idea, is like showing it a lived environment, how our furniture can look in it.
So why downtown Detroit and why now? I mean, we're right on the doorstep of the holidays, so of course the timing makes sense, but we are in a former burger joint, Lovers Only, that was here. Why downtown and why now?
I mean, downtown, like we've been wanting to be down here for a while. Like Bo and I see ourselves like kind of being part of this Detroit Renaissance scene for the last like 10 years. So it made sense for us like to come downtown. A lot of our clients are down here, or at least they visit here. And we want to kind of get closer to people who are going to be buying our furniture. Like, unfortunately, Hamtramck is great, but it's not like our casual person walking through is going to come through and buy our stuff. Like, we knew that going in, so we wanted to get closer to our audience, closer to the people who are coming down from the game days, who like really would put our stuff in their homes.
And to be 100% clear, you're keeping stuff in Hamtramck.
Yeah, operations is still in Hamtramck. The warehouse is still there. That's not going to change anytime soon. We'll still be doing like our monthly warehouse sales, but they might not be monthly anymore. They might be like every other month. We're trying to figure that out next year, but we'll still be doing the antiques and the salvage and all that, and operations will still be there. This is just going to be the showroom now. It's going to be a lot nicer for us. It's going to be a lot easier to operate in Hamtramck, not having to worry about being open every week.
And I can see the curation with the selection where you've got stuff you were telling me earlier, from like a lab table from Marygrove, your entrance table there. You got to tell me about this kiosk. I don't exactly know the right word to call it, that when you come in the door where you do all the payment and do all the things, it's this beautiful green tile, and then you blew my mind.
This is another reason why we wanted to do the store, right? Like Bo and I have had so many sketches and ideas like written down for years of things that we wanted to do, and this has been one of them. We salvaged like 200 slate chalkboards from Transfiguration School, which is off a mountain in Detroit, and we wanted to build credenzas and furniture with them. So we bought like a huge tile cutting saw, and we started cutting hundreds of 8x8 slate tiles, and then we did our checkout bar out of them. So it's kind of another thing too, like when you walk in, like you won't know what this stuff is until we tell you, and then once you hear, you're like, oh, that's cool. Like that makes sense. It's just like an interesting way to use materials.
And the blend of refinished and kind of almost like a modern mid-century vibe, not always, but definitely. Talk about this brand that you're working with.
All our upholstered goods and the chairs are from Gus Modern, and they're like a company out of Toronto. So they design all their stuff out there, and it's produced everywhere else, but a lot of their fabrics and their downs are all recycled materials. So like I showed you the one sofa, and it's a beautiful sofa. The fabric's super soft, but the fabric's made out of recycled water bottles that are tore apart into like a fiber and then made into this fabric. It's pretty insane. And their stuff is, like you said, it's like kind of mid-century modern. It's very sleek, very well made. All the wood is like FSC certified too. They're just a great, cool brand to work with. And they actually reached out to us, and it was just another thing, a good timing. It's like, all right, this makes sense, and it's been a really great partnership so far.
Well, and seeing the showroom, it almost makes me think of something that we've talked about on the show before with some guests. The idea that retail is almost like a 3D advertisement. Yes, you move stuff out of there and you show people stuff. It's not like you've got, 15 of these Mary Grove lab tables turned into islands sitting like right behind the door, right?
No, exactly. And like the thing is, I do have 15 of those lab tables, but they're at the warehouse. So like in here, it's kind of been like, come through, take a look at the collections, take a look at the pieces, and then if you like something or you want to see more of it, we have the quantities at the warehouse, and we have the ability at the warehouse to change the color, or change the size, or make something custom for you. So like this is kind of an area where like there's a lot more foot traffic, there's a lot more people coming through, like they can get introduced to the brand and then come to the other area and like do further business with us.
I think a lot of people online know you as a refinisher of older things. You mentioned customization, not only customization of those things, but there's a whole nother part of your business that's design, and you're in magazines and these things. And I don't think the gram necessarily always, like what goes viral on the gram doesn't always capture that. So can you talk about what you've been getting into with that?
Yeah, that's kind of hard with Instagram. Like we'll finish a piece of furniture and it gets a ton of views and everyone thinks that's what we do. But, Bo in particular, she was a car designer in the industry for a bunch of years. So we've been designing furniture and interior spaces and houses and stuff for a little bit of time now. And that's kind of what we really want to do. And like within the industry, like we get a lot of recognition in the magazines, and some of the other like designers reach out from around the country. And we feel like the general public here, our followers, don't really understand what we do on the day to day. And if you go into our shop and you see like all this like custom millwork being made and all this like really nice furniture, I don't think you would know that by looking at our Instagram account. And that was kind of the idea of doing Throwbacks Home, was like to kind of separate it a little bit. Like, hey, here's the furniture and here's everything that we build. This is all Throwbacks Home. Like this is a little bit more elevated. Woodward Throwbacks can still be like the lifestyle, like Bo and I, like running this design studio, still antiquing, still getting all these materials, doing all that. But this part's more the retail end of it, and it's something we've been wanting to kind of focus on for the last like 2 years now.
I admit, I too am a sucker for antiquing. I can't stop. There's just no way, right? Like I can't see you stopping doing that.
No, I'll probably be at the flea market this weekend.
All right, let's get into the details. People want to visit, check it out, hours, location, all that stuff.
So the location's 34 West Grand River. Like I said, we're in the old Lovers Only building right next to Iggy Aggies. And then hours are Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 7, and Sunday, 10 to 5.
There's been some news I want to talk about more in depth than a headline, including new renderings from Olympia Development and the related companies on Woodward Avenue, which we will get to on the show, I promise. Devin O'Reilly will join me on Friday. I'm sure we'll get into that and the mountain of feedback mail in the last 2 weeks. Always dailydetroit@gmail.com. I hope you enjoyed our little excursion out of the studio. I'm Jer Stays. Thank you so much for listening and supporting your Daily Detroit. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll talk tomorrow.